Hey, it's Captain Matt, Boat Buyer's Secret Weapon, and I wanted to share with you some things you can do to keep your outboard running great. So we talk about the importance of maintenance, and obviously keeping up with your manufacturer's maintenance schedule is critical. So your oil changes, your gear lube, your impeller changes, all of that stuff is critical, as well as you're moving into the 300, 500 hour, 600 hour, 1,000 hour services. Continue to do all of those maintenance items and inspections, because oftentimes you can catch something before it becomes a major issue and you can get it repaired as a maintenance item instead of having to fix something that's broken and has gotten more expensive. But there's a few other things that a lot of people overlook. One, if you're running in saltwater, it's rinsing the boat with fresh water, getting all of that salt water off, including flushing the engine, but also spraying down everything in the boat, including everything on the transom, to get all of that salt water out there. Captain Tim, that helped me with the Confident Coastal Boater program, said the only thing salt water doesn't ruin is salt water. Everything else it's going to take its toll on. So that's number one. Number two is be sure that you're pulling your prop at least every season, especially if you do a lot of fishing or others in your area do a lot of fishing, because that line can get wrapped around the prop. It can tear into the seals in your gear casing. If you remember, I did the video on what the inside of your lower unit looks like. And so making sure that there's no fishing line in there, making sure that your prop's in good shape and everything is straight is critical there. The next is to keep everything greased and lubricated properly. When it comes to boating, because we're in water, because you may have salt, because you've got the UV damage, everything on the boat just goes through a lot of wear and tear. So find all your little Zerk fittings throughout the lower unit. If it's an outboard, in the steering systems, all of those are going to have grease points that you need to keep well lubricated so that everything's flowing smoothly, whether it's the shift cable or the steering cable if you have cables, whether it's the Zerk, whether it's the unit actually at the transom. And there's Zerk fittings throughout the lower unit and throughout the outboard itself that you want to keep nice and lubricated. Next is fuel. One of the biggest problems with boat motors is usually fuel related, whether it's a fuel filter, whether it's bad fuel, whether it's using ethanol, which I've got a video on ethanol that you might want to watch. To keep the boat in great running shape, if you can, use 100% gasoline. Now, if you're in California or you're in an area where you just can't get 100% gasoline and you have to use ethanol, well, then you want to make sure that you're cycling that fuel at least once every month or 2 months and treating it as well to keep it in as good of condition as you can, so it doesn't start breaking down, it doesn't start sucking in moisture into your fuel system. May also be good practice to put a fuel water separator in if you don't have one. The other thing is keeping your fuel filters in good shape, including that fuel water separator, but as well as the inline fuel filters that are going to be in your power head. They could be if it's a stern drive, in the engine itself, in the boat. But keeping those in good shape are going to help avoid those fuel issues. And if your fuel starts to get older, more than 6-8 months, hey, maybe just go out, burn some of that fuel, even siphon it out, run it through your cars. Cars go through fuel a lot quicker, so it doesn't have those types of issues. But because in the marine industry, you don't run your boat as often. You probably don't run a tank of fuel every time you're out there. So keeping that fuel in good condition, keeping it treated if you have to use ethanol, and keeping your filters in good condition are going to be very, very important. And the last thing that's going to help you get the most life out of your boat motor is to use it. It actually, one of the biggest challenges that you have as a boater is that your engine and all of your moving parts in the boat, they don't get used consistently, which means they don't get lubricated consistently with the oil moving through the power head, with it moving through the lower unit, with the steering system moving and getting that grease kind of reapplicated to everything. So running your boat in a consistent manner, every week, every 2 weeks, getting out there. If it's going to sit for a long period of time, treat that fuel, and maybe even just crank it up on a hose. And those little things are going to help the boat, the engine, last longer. And then finally, is keeping your boat clean and waxed. That it's not going to help it run better, but it's going to help it look better. It's going to help with resale value. And it's one of those things that when the boat looks great, when it's running great, everything's just more fun. It's going to have higher resale value. So just a couple of tips to get the most out of your boat engine and your boat for this upcoming season.